I'm the night guard for Copper Plaza, a job that mostly involves reminding skateboarders that bronze cannonballs are not ramps, and calling the one tow truck in town whenever someone parks illegally in front of the historical courthouse. The city of Wyndham pays me exactly enough to keep my Netflix subscription alive, so I bring a thermos of coffee and tell myself I'm being paid to stargaze. Most nights, nothing happens. On June 31st, yes, Wyndham invented its own calendar glitch. Everything happens. That's the one night every year when the statues all come to life for the Stony Awards, a ceremony they invented themselves. I'm not supposed to tell anyone, because every year they threaten to perch the pigeon statue on my car if I do. But you look trustworthy. And besides, it's too funny not to share. It always starts the same way. The town clock strikes midnight, then winds itself backward with a metallic burp. The second hand quivers like it's got hiccups. That's the cue. The first statue that stirs is Sir Percival P. Persimmon, a Victorian explorer whose bronze mustache is so large it needs its own postal code. He's positioned atop a marble pedestal in Persimmon Park, pointing heroically at the Dunkin' Donuts. At 12:01 a.m., his arm drops. He cracks his neck. Stone cracks are louder than you'd think, and he yawns in perfect iambic pentameter. Then he slaps his thigh plate like a drum and barks. "All right, Granite Gang, time to polish up your punchlines." The rest follow like reluctant kids dragged out of bed. There's Colonel Ezekiel Boom Boom, Rutherford astride his cannon, the city's Civil War hero, who never actually saw battle, but perfected the art of looking determined. The cannon is welded shut, yet he still introduces himself as the man who keeps the enemy at bay and tourist birds in check. There's Matilda Finch, our suffragist with a parasol poised mid-swing. Two bronze Labradors, Lucky and Chance, shake off symbolic rainwater near the fountain. The newest addition is Traffic Ted, an abstract installation that resembles a twisted stop sign married to a soft-serve cone. And perched above them all, the pigeon statue we simply call Kevin. Kevin's the MC, because neighborhood folklore says he's stolen more hot dog buns than the entire city council combined, and thus knows comedy. By 12:15, they roar to life. I unroll a red carpet. Well, technically it's an old theater curtain taped together, and plug in string lights around Persimmon Park, so they have atmosphere. The statues crowd backstage, arguing over categories. They have big egos, these stones. And each year they invent increasingly trivial awards, so everybody gets something. Best computational cheekbone, most dramatic patina, outstanding achievement in pretending not to notice pigeons. But the top prize never changes. The Golden Gargoyle for overall civic gravitas. The catch: gravitas is determined entirely by how well they roast the sitting mayor of Wyndham. Whoever lands the best singer walks away with the gargoyle, a tiny hefty gargoyle originally stolen off a bank by our mischievous gargoyle statue, who retired after the Great Pigeon Incident of '78. Long story. Smells like breadcrumbs. Mayor Brenda Applethorpe has been re-elected 6 times on a platform of birch trees for all, and her administration funds monthly birch plantings more enthusiastically than pothole fixings. The statues, having roots only in the figurative sense, consider this leaf obsession a sign of misplaced priorities. So every year they sharpen jokes about mulch budgets and sap hemorrhage. Mayor Applethorpe, unaware she's the headline of a stone roast, sleeps peacefully on her organic birch fiber mattress across town, dreaming of arborist applause. This year, however, a wrench appears in the gears in the form of Mayor Applethorpe's brand new security drone, nicknamed Skylar. Skylar hovers above the plaza, red lights blinking. Its official job is to deter graffiti, but its unofficial job is to harass squirrels. As it whirs overhead, the statues peer up suspiciously. Flying snitch! Colonel Rutherford growls, loading imaginary cannonballs. If that contraption films us, we'll end up delegated to late-night internet memes, Matilda Finch warns. They hold an emergency huddle, stone heads clanking. Eventually, they decide on a simple solution: bribe Skylar with flattery. Traffic. Ted twists himself into a makeshift signal tower, reflecting moonlight into the drone's sensor. Kevin flaps his bronze wings. Don't ask me how. And coos. Oh, mighty Sky Guardian, your rotors glisten with municipal authority. Skylar, no fool, releases a self-satisfied chirp, does a victory loop, and then parks on top of Lucky's head to live stream the show. Close enough. Kevin shrugs. The awards can proceed. Kevin clears his non-existent throat and cries, "Ladies, gents, and drainpipe spouts, welcome to the 9th Annual Stony Awards! Tonight, we defy physics, city ordinances, and that one cranky raccoon in the bins! Let's give a warm round of applause to the night guard, who risks unemployment to plug in our extension cord!" They all clap like castanets, which is terrifying when the hands are marble. I take a mock bow and wonder if workers' comp covers statue applause injuries. First up, Best Frozen Facial Expression. The nominees shuffle to center stage, each striking their default pose. Sir Persimmon's raised eyebrow suggests he's either seen the future or smelled a questionable kebab. Matilda Finch's steely gaze could curdle milk. Colonel Rutherford's stoic glare resembles a man constipated by history. Kevin flutters overhead and reads the envelope. And the winner is the Colonel's horse, General Buttercup, for capturing 18 emotions while having absolutely no movable parts. The Colonel sputters as Buttercup whinnies silently and accepts a tiny marble carrot trophy. Buttercup's thank you speech is short on words, but long on smugness. Next category, Outstanding Pigeon Resistance. I was rooting for the Labradors. Birds never dare them, but instead the award goes to the courthouse statue of Lady Justice, who isn't even present because she's 2 blocks away and cannot vacate her post without causing legal mayhem. Kevin accepts on her behalf and promises to tie tiny blindfolds on all pigeons at dawn. The audience groans affectionately. Filler entertainment arrives courtesy of Traffic Ted's interpretive dance. Yield to your feelings. Ted rotates until his stop sign half glints red like a disco ball, then executes a series of plies that would make a real ballerina cry either from awe or concern. The Labradors accompany him by shaking bronze tails rhythmically, which produces a tinny percussion, like someone drumming on garbage lids. Skylar films everything, tagging it, "Monarch, art is everywhere!" Finally comes the main event, the roast of Mayor Brenda Applethorpe. I dim the fairy lights for dramatic effect. Kevin perches on the podium and announces, "The mayor couldn't be here tonight, because apparently there's a city ordinance against fun after 10 p.m. But let's give her an applause she can sense in her dreams. Perhaps it'll shake loose budget money for statue maintenance." They pound marble fists until pigeons scatter off rooftops 3 streets over. Sir Persimmon strides up first. Our dear mayor believes that for every pothole filled, a birch must be planted. He begins. By that logic, the upcoming winter will see citizens commuting via sleds, powered by moose trained to navigate through forests where roads used to be. Laughter echoes, sounding like a xylophone made of tombstones. He bows, satisfied. Matilda Finch steps up. As suffragist statues, we fought for representation. Mayor Applethorpe claims to champion equal rights, yet she signed 15 proclamations for tree hugging and 0 for stone cleaning. I ask only this. If birch saplings get biodegradable ribbons, could we perhaps get a toothbrush swipe? Or are we expected to exfoliate with squirrel spit? Applause. Colonel Rutherford rolls his shoulders and booms. Madam Mayor, rumor says you're sketching plans to replace the Artillery Museum with a sap-drip learning center. I salute you, because turning weapons into syrup dispensers is the sort of pacifism I can really sink my non-existent teeth into. But at least, rename my cannon from Old Glory to Aunt Jemima's secret weapon, will you? The Colonel pantomimes pouring syrup. Buttercup the horse winks. Then Kevin flaps down. The pigeon statue lacks eyelids, yet somehow exudes mischief. Mayor Applethorpe, you planted so many birches last year that every dog in town thought you'd opened a public restroom chain. Next time, skip the ribbon-cutting ceremony and just distribute free fire hydrants. Less paperwork. The laughter nearly breaks Skylar's stabilizer. Traffic. Ted finishes the roster. As the youngest statue, I care about progressive infrastructure. Mayor, you claim you're building eco-friendly roundabouts to reduce traffic. The first and only roundabout you completed is so small that skateboarders use it as a snack table. Perhaps for phase 2, you'll just paint circles on the road and call them virtual. Leave art to the professionals, who, may I remind you, can't even cross the street without signing a waiver. Roast complete. Kevin calls for final voting. The statues huddle in clusters, exchanging whispers like a bag of rocks being rolled across marble floors, which, in fairness, is what they are. Skylar projects the voting tallies onto the courthouse wall with its tiny projector. The golden gargoyle goes to Matilda Finch, whose toothbrush swipe line tipped the scales. Matilda raises the gargoyle high. I accept this on behalf of all overlooked grime, she declares. May your bird poop be easily hosable, and your inscriptions forever free of Comic Sans. Just as they're gearing up for the closing conga line, imagine a conga line where nobody bends their knees. Headlights swing across the plaza. A hybrid SUV screeches to a halt beside the fountain. Out steps Mayor Applethorpe herself, bathrobe flapping over birch leaf pajamas. I freeze, coffee sloshing onto my shoes. How did she find out? Turns out Skylar's livestream had 3 viewers before the feed got encrypted. A conspiracy blogger, the mayor's IT intern, and the mayor. She arrived because, in her words, you can't manage what you don't monitor. The statues all snap back into lifeless poses instinctively, except they're mid-conga, hands on one another's shoulders, Matilda clutching a gargoyle, and Colonel Rutherford with his knee half lifted. The tableau looks like a flash mob, paused by a divine remote control. Mayor Applethorpe blinks. What in horticulture's name is going on? I improvise. Public art restoration drill, ma'am. Gotta make sure the bases are stable. I pat Sir Persimmon's shin. It wobbles unnaturally because he's trying not to fall over. She squints suspiciously. Then she notices Skylar perched on Lucky's head, projector still out. On the courthouse wall, a paused video frame shows Colonel Rutherford pouring invisible syrup. The caption reads, Aunt Jemima's secret weapon. Mayor Applethorpe's eyebrow twitches like a rehearsed tap dance move. Why is my drone filming statues insulting me? She asks. My mouth opens, but before sound emerges a deep, gritty voice rumbles. Because your sap budget eclipses your sense of humor. Every statue, and I, gasp. Sir Persimmon just spoke while the mayor was looking at him. There's no taking it back. Colonel Rutherford facepalms, creating a clang that echoes across the plaza, triggering a car alarm. Kevin mutters, well, the bird seed's out of the bag. Matilda Finch steps down from her pedestal, parasols swaying menacingly. Madam Mayor, welcome to the Stony Awards. Admission is free as long as your ego fits through the gate. I expect the mayor to faint or call the National Guard. Instead, she adjusts her bathrobe belt and grins so broadly even the gargoyle looks undersmiled. An award show, huh? She says, scanning the scene. And I'm the punchline. Nice to be the star of something that doesn't require planting a tree. She strolls along the red curtain carpet. Carry on. I could use a laugh. Heaven knows city council meetings haven't been comedic since Councilman Brady discovered Robert's rules. The statues exchange uncertain glances. Kevin nods to me, silently requesting amplification. I switch the portable speaker to on and hand him the microphone. We're off script now. Kevin gestures grandly. New category, folks. Best surprise visitor who took it like a champ. He offers the mayor his wing. You're the only nominee. Care to give an acceptance speech? Mayor Applethorpe climbs Persimmon's pedestal like she's scaling a podium. She takes the mic. First of all, I'd like to thank Insomnia and the city's incompetent Wi-Fi encryption. Secondly, statues of Wyndham. You're right. Maybe I've let the trees hog the spotlight, but we can't subsist on bark alone. How about we allocate funds to polish you up, get you washed, buffed, maybe install pigeon-deterrent lasers? That last one's just because I've always wanted to say, the city owns lasers. Kevin rustles. We also want yearly comedy workshops. Done, the mayor replies. We can have the library host a stand-up night. Kids do open mic. Statues headline. Sir Persimmon strokes his mustache. What's in it for you, Madam Mayor? She leans closer. Next election cycle, I can brag that Wyndham's public art literally talks, listens, and roasts. Beat that neighboring towns. The statues huddle again. Buttercup the horse elbows the colonel. Lucky and Chance whisper to Matilda in Stone Canine Morse code. Kevin circles overhead, drawing a question mark with his flight path. After a minute, Matilda faces the mayor. One more demand. Replace that sap drip center with a combination pothole repair / espresso bar. We need coffee after midnight. Mayor Applethorpe laughs. Espresso for pothole crews. That might finally keep them awake past 3 p.m. Agreed. The statues unfreeze in unison, resuming the conga line, but this time inviting the mayor. She hooks an arm around Colonel Rutherford, who looks bewildered, but honored. Skylar resumes filming, auto-posting, historic harmony. I catch my reflection in the courthouse window, a night guard grinning amid dancing monuments. Nobody at the bowling alley will believe this. The conga ends at the fountain, where Matilda presents Mayor Applethorpe with a spontaneous award, the Birch Bark Banshee Trophy, carved from leftover cardboard. For outstanding flexibility in the face of granite criticism, she pronounces. The mayor bows, teary-eyed. I'm framing this, she says. Kevin whispers, cardboard warps in humidity. But the mayor doesn't hear. With politics solved for the moment, they segue into karaoke. Lyrics project onto the courthouse, courtesy of Skylar's search engine. Colonel Rutherford belts Born to Run, which is ironic since he hasn't moved in 120 years. Buttercup harmonizes by clomping hooves for percussion. Traffic Ted performs Highway to Hell while swiveling his sign body so the word stop becomes an exclamation point in rhythm. Matilda leads a suffragist remix of Respect, substituting R-E-S-P-A-T-I-N-A. Even Sir Persimmon loosens his cravat for a jazzy My Way, ending with jazz hands that fling bronze dust into the air like glitter. Mayor Applethorpe finally takes the mic for Can't Stop the Feeling. She dances with Lucky and Chance, dodging their wagging tails. The Labradors are off-key but adorable. When the song ends, the plaza bursts into applause so loud, I almost expect windows to shatter. The mayor is breathless, rosy-cheeked. She looks at her watch. 3:47 a.m. Sunrise isn't far. Kevin perches on the mayor's shoulder. Dawn approaches. We'll freeze soon. But remember the deal. Cleaning, lasers, espresso pothole bar. She nods. Scout's honor. And you'll headline the library comedy night? Assuming someone turns our pages, Matilda quips. The mayor hugs her robe tighter against the morning chill. I'll bring the rookies. They could use thicker skin. Yours seems exemplary. Skylar emits a soft chime. Low battery. It descends and parks on the fountain edge, lens drooping like a tired eye. The fairy lights flicker, then fizzle. The clock above the courthouse glitches forward, catching up the minute hand. 4:08 a.m. In the silver dusk, statues glance at one another, their last shared moment of motion for another year, Sir Persimmon. To bed, my stony friends. To bed, our city slumbers. Sky turns red. When next we stir to stretch and jeer, let's hope the mayor brings the beer. Birch beer, the mayor corrects with a wink. One by one, they resume their default poses. Colonel Rutherford climbs onto his cannon, spine snapping straight. Buttercup rears. Traffic Ted twists into abstract signage again. Lucky and Chance sits sentinel. Matilda Finch mounts her pedestal, parasol mid-swing, still clutching the golden gargoyle, but freezing just before the final flourish, so the gargoyle appears to be photobombing her from behind. Kevin flutters to his rooftop perch, wings spread wide like a weather vane frozen in permanent mischief. Seconds later, silence. The only movement is the breeze rustling birch leaves. If a random jogger appeared, they'd see nothing amiss. Just a sleepy plaza of inanimate art, a discarded cardboard trophy, and a night guard sipping cold coffee. Mayor Applethorpe tugs my sleeve. If I tell anyone, they'll say I'm nuts, right? I nod. Believe me, they will. She smiles. Then we'll put it in the budget as community morale initiatives. People sign off if you sound bureaucratic enough. She retrieves Skylar, holds its sleepy body like a cat, and heads to her SUV. See you at dawn, June 31st next year, guard. Looking forward, I say. I'll bring fresh batteries. She drives off towards City Hall, humming. Can't stop the feeling. I gather the string lights, stash the red curtain, and check the statues once more. Persimmon points nobly at Dunkin' Donuts, an eternal caffeine endorsement. Matilda's parasol hovers mid-swing, hinting at defiant energy beneath the calm. The plaza looks ordinary, yet I can still taste the laughter in the air like leftover cotton candy after a fair. As I lock the maintenance shed, early sunlight glints on the golden gargoyle poking above Matilda's shoulder. It winks. Or maybe my imagination does. Either way, I salute the statues, tip my thermos, and head home for sleep, already drafting next year's invitation list. With lasers, espresso, and a mayor who now knows her timing, the 10th annual Stony Awards might just break the internet, and hopefully fix a pothole or two.